Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 9, Talking Horses here at Saratoga. A glorious day. Maggie Wolfendale, Andy Sterling, and we're a little bit late. One of us had to do their hair. I'm not going to say who it was. I'm just going to leave it open.
Andy,
one of us.
superb job on your hair today.
I do look. I look pretty sexy, don't I?
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Oh,
working
yeah.
on that. Yeah, I got it going on here. It's not. I'm teasing Maggie. It's actually has nothing to do with Maggie doing her hair. It has all something to do with something so ridiculous it's not even worth discussing. But anyway, it's good to be here. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm glad it's Sunday, and we have a wonderful Sunday as far as weather is concerned.
know.
Jose Ortiz off his mounts yet again, as we heard Frank Miramati. I did see him walking in today, so he must be feeling good and just wants to have that extra day to get over
You
things.
should have him on the
Make sure
show if he's
100%.
coming in. Jose,
I agree.
get on over here.
He has great insight, honestly, in
Very
all
sharp guy.
seriousness.
He's a very sharp
he
guy.
really has one of the best points of view from a rider that I've ever met.
No, I agree. He's a very sharp guy. He did say that, I guess Dave Grenning reported on Twitter that he's expecting to ride Wednesday. So it'll be good to have him back. And, of course, Maggie, it's nice you saw him. And we wish him the best in a speedy recovery, which seems to be going well. We'll head over to Naira Bets. Use your promo code SPA200, and we'll match the $200 of your initial deposit. Play through Naira Bets. Keep the money in the game. We have a middle pick 4, 2, 4, and 7 for the pick 4s on today's 10-race card. We also have the $1 million bonus if you're the only person somehow to hit the late pick 5, and you played it through Naira Bets. Sign up for Naira Bets. Got to put it in through Naira Bets. What else do we have today? God, what would a day be without a cross-country pick 5?
This is international.
3 from, yes, it is. Now, here's a thing for you, Trillium. Trillium was one of the early Angel Penna senior horses that came over from Europe. And I
Yeah.
believe ran in like the Turf Classic with Weah. But I
Okay.
think Weah won. It was like a 3-horse photo across the
Yeah.
track. You know, I found, looking up pedigrees on Thursday's card, a name.
Why you do this to me?
No, you won't. A name.
You're always 10 million steps in front of me when it comes to
Well,
looking at these
the
pedigrees.
if you had a Talking Horses, you'd have looked. But to be fair, it's a little different, and it's a lot of stuff. The videos, I want to get them in so that everybody can get them going and stuff. The third dam horse was Weah,
Oh,
but
wow.
the second dam came up, and the name of the horse, and it's a little glum actually, was Seattle Way.
Okay.
Seattle Way was the horse that Julie Crone got injured up here on closing day in 1993.
Oh,
It was a
wow.
Jonathan Shepard horse, and that horse's sire was Way, and it came up yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, I always remember that horse.
You have an incredible memory.
Well, that was a pretty. That was a
Yeah,
pretty big.
no, it
incident.
stands out in
That
your
was,
mind, yeah.
You know, I mean, I know it's a bad, but it's of a rider who we're very fond of. It was a
Exactly.
great rider.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Anyway, what else do we have? But Trillium, that's a funny horse of name. I wonder if she won like Canadian International or something. You know, 'cause I don't even think they had like an E.P. Taylor back in then. It was the late 70s.
I'm gonna look at that.
1 to 3 on FS2 and 3 to 6:30 on FS1. You will be joining me, I believe, on the late show. Is that correct?
No, I'm early.
Sure you are. Sure you are. Thanks a lot. It's okay. I have Acacia, and you don't.
It's okay. I have Lafitte, and you don't.
Okay, I have Greg. All right, so see if you like that. How about them apples? I got Jonathan. I got the whole crew. Okay. Anyway, we're done comparing that. We'll do that a little bit later. Race number 1. You know who I'm picking in race number 1. Maggie, how could you leave out the
Woof.
Bonner Young?
You really liked
Barclays?
4 gate breezes in a row?
I love the pedigree.
I know. I knew you were gonna pick her, but
It is far and away the best pedigree in this race.
Oh yeah, I'm not
You're just
denying
leaving
that.
out the guy from down Maryland, Virginia. You have.
You know, I'm like quasi related to. He's the grandfather of one of my cousins.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to refrain from saying what I want to say, but
Let's
go
move
ahead.
on. Yeah, so she is a full sister to Highland Grace, who has won her last 2 starts. That's as a 3-year-old. It just
What's
feels
your daughter's
like
name?
My daughter's
Yeah.
name?
You said Highland Grace. I'm just wondering. I'm just pointing
Not
out
Catherine.
what kind of person you
My
actually
husband's
are.
name is Thomas, though. Yeah.
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 Yeah. You're so sentimental. Anyway,
So she, it just feels like this pedigree is very good, but not precocious. And the fact that there's 4 gate breezes, and even the last one that you can watch on XPTV, really didn't leave that quickly yet again. I mean, it was solid enough, but this was just a wait-and-see approach for me. I respect connections, I respect pedigree, but
can I just say something?
what do you want to say?
This is the second time this week I've done this. I was not going to have the 9 on top. I did this with that 3 horse that won earlier in the week. that blew out a field that had run once at Monmouth. I have no
Yeah.
idea. I don't have your top choice in my top 4. I guess
I
there's
don't
just
have
too many
yours
horses
on
put in there because I put
This
all
is-
I put all the
well, you
Kevin
know,
Rice horses. I bet
mean-
the Adam Rice horse that won it. Yeah, I don't remember it was Kevin or
That's
Adam. I can't-
Adam. Yeah.
Which one at Belmont?
Adam.
Kevin, I picked and bet yesterday in the first race. The horse ran
We're
very well.
Very
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And they have speed.
No, and there's
That's what
plenty of pedigree. I didn't like Commissioner.
Okay. He's
bothered
actually,
you.
I wouldn't have thought, I would have thought, oh, maybe he's like a 5% 2-year-old
No, he's
sire
10%.
for some. He's 13% with the 2-year-old first-time starters.
But 10%
And
in the turf. He's not as good in the turf. That's all I'm
yes,
saying.
fair enough. But the dam was a multiple stakes winning New York bred turf winner. She went 5
Albertani
for
trained.
19. This one's a half to Diamond Hands. 5 of the 6, not that that
Seven.
is anything. 5 of the 7 foals to try the turf have won on it. And the dam's half to Half Heaven, who was a multiple stakes winning turf/synthetic runner.
Trained by
Can't remember.
Gary Contessa.
Here we are.
Originally in her career.
So I went with Snow Dance just because these horses seem to show speed. I appreciate that in these races. And then you kind of go through, and Chad Brown is the only trainer in here that has good stats first time out with the 2-year-olds going along on the turf.
But they're all
And
short.
Christoph does, but at Saratoga, not quite as much.
No, I'm not going to default to the Chad Brown versus the turf, unless I've heard they're killers because they're always short. And you never can really tell if they're getting played because they're good or they're getting played because of Chad Brown. But I'm going to use them. What did you think of the sales workout for the 5 Sassy Princess? So I put forth. Now Brendan Walsh is not a trainer who normally has him cranked up the first time out.
I loved
and that's why I
it.
put it fourth.
Honestly,
but I like this
I loved
workout.
it. I loved it.
Yeah.
She did not look like she was going the 10 and 1.
She does definitely not now. She doesn't.
She looks beautiful in that still.
She is a great. I love that look. Right?
Yeah.
The
Ooh,
socks. I love that.
I
yeah.
know. And the extension. I love that extension. But she has great extension. She's barely asked here. I
Yep.
mean, usually see the riders
leveled
asked
off.
with a crop. Exactly. Does she look like she's going 10 and 1? No, she looks like she's going 10 and 3, maybe 11, because
Yeah.
she's so big and she covers the ground. And this is exactly what she wants to do. She wants to run long on the turf. You can just see it looking at her in that workout there. But like you said, Brendan does not have good numbers with his first time starting 2-year-olds on the turf.
I mean this in no way to disparage it to 9 because I probably could easily have had the horse much, much higher. I think one of the things was yesterday when I picked the horse, that was not a good field yesterday. I know the winner's heavily favored Pletcher horse. I don't think that horse is likely to win the Pilgrim or the. And I wonder if this race, doesn't it have at least a look, given the players in here, that there might be a runner or two in this race?
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
you're
listen,
right.
as it turned out, yesterday's 2-year-old colt race, they got a excuse me,
Cigar
66 buyer. I mean, it looked great going in. It comes out as a
okay.
slow race.
Typically, it feels like the 2-year-old fillies on the turf are better than the colts and sometimes geldings.
More precocious, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's every reason to believe that this race is going to be better, going to be faster than what we saw yesterday. Like I said, I just wanted one that might get overlooked here, that had enough pedigree for me, that was going to show speed. I respect Micaiah. It looks like she could show speed with the workout she comes in here with. Street sense, okay, on the turf, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't love that. I picked her second because the pedigree and Christophe, but I agree.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
Okay.
Race number 2. Race number 2, the funny race number 2.
I know.
Let's take a look at Set
4
Sail, the
horses.
horse you have on top here that I have third. I'm worried about the layoff with this horse, not necessarily the horse. Neither this horse ran fine last time. You probably wanted to be inside, though.
Okay. I mean, this was over a year ago.
The track trends are still listed, Mag.
No, I know they are.
And I know you do your work.
Yeah,
This horse ran.
Look.
This horse ran fine. The winner was a run off the. This was when the inside looked good on Belmont Day, in the beginning of the card.
Exactly.
And then it seemed like it wasn't the case as the day went on.
Exactly. So I would guess he's a horse that may need Lasix. And 2, in that Peter Pan, when he was favored that day, he lost it.
He lost at the start. He had no right. He just went.
Oh, he was a wreck before he
Yeah,
went in the gate. He was a
that
wreck.
race is a complete throw-up.
Right. So I think this is a nice horse. And Belmont, I punched in 9 to 18-month layoff on the dirts. He's 10 for 49. And
That's not bad.
I just thought he was probably the more quality. I mean, Slip Mahoney at times has shown that quality. But I just thought that I'd rather take the 4-year-old, albeit off the long layoff, than these 3-year-olds.
Oh, he's the best horse based on his races. It's not even discussable. I mean,
Yeah.
he's faster basically in all of his races. And to be honest, putting Slip Mahoney probably a Brad Cox thing, putting the horse second. But the truth of Slip Mahoney is we show his maiden win. What has he ever really done? I mean, this race even, he rode a gold rail to victory.
Exactly.
And he beat Krupe. Now, Krupe
Exactly.
got the ride of rides from Kendrick because he rode the rail before angling out. But, I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful. Krupe has some talent, but he's a horse that's basically made his career in disappointing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Slip Mahoney, what running has he done in any of his last 3 races?
Now, look, you know I'm a little bit of a sucker for a new gelding, but
I'm not
right.
going to discuss that, but
So I love geldings.
no.
So
Okay. It's getting worse and worse up here. Go do your hair, will you?
saying that from a riding perspective, possibly. But look, he's one that had some speed in that second and third effort. Those were by far his best efforts. I think, he just sucked into being second in the Grade 3 Gotham.
Yeah, I mean, the second by 100 lengths. I mean, somebody had to be
Exactly.
second.
Right.
And like getting yes, he had early trouble in that race, but I'm not sure it didn't help him as it turned out
Exactly.
because of wicked pace that fell apart.
So where has his speed gone? That's what I want to know. And
It's
I'm
weird.
wondering if gelding will help that. Now,
And Luis Saez, too.
you're guessing. You are guessing a little bit, but I think that's the intention. But last time, he was bad. He was favored in that long branch. He was lugging in. He didn't switch leads. And it wasn't a very good field. Now, I know he's going to take money because he's Brad Cox, but there's too many question marks. And as you said, what has he really done? Is he really
No,
that
I'm looking
good?
at it and wondering why I didn't go 5-3-2. I know I like the 5, but I'm wondering why I didn't
Okay,
put the 3
tell us
second.
why you like the 5.
I feel like the 3 horse is a question mark off the layoff. I
Yeah.
have no argument with you. He's the best horse if he runs his race. I don't like Slip Mahoney. I don't particularly like the Todd Pletcher horse. I know he came back to win that race, but that race has got no better with Treaty Obligation running a little bit improved, but he had a trip that day. The other horse in that
Right.
race didn't improve at all. In fact, they probably took a step back. We ran that maiden. And Top Secret, well, Top Secret's coming off a big win. He's got a good outside post for a good stalking position. Steve's numbers actually stretching on the dirt off a win. He's got almost a $2 ROI, which is highly unusual with 135 starters. Shockley's never done it at Saratoga. And I just felt like he's an improving horse that ran a good race last time and could take another step forward against a field of horses that I'm not thrilled with and the best ones coming off a layoff.
Here's my thing. Don't you think he was bias-dated to jump up and run that 82? He was
No.
sent hard by Tyler because Tyler knew that that's how horses were running and winning at Ellis
I'm
Park.
not sure that was a day that was biased. I'll have to look it up again.
It seemed early in the meet, and that's kind of when they
There was
switched
some
over.
days that weren't. I have to look it up again, to be honest with you, Maggie. And I also
thought
this
it
horse-
was.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I have a feeling he's a horse that I'm going to see in the paddock because watching his replays, I'm going to see in the paddock and I'm going to like. And I'm going to like because I think he can control on the front end. He looks like a horse that's going to relish a little bit a longer distance with this mile. And we see so far throughout this meet, you want to be forward when we're coming out of this Wilson chute.
All right. Race number 3. I had a question about race number 3. I haven't seen the morning line odds. You know, we'll show it to Keeper because I have the replay. I thought she might be a horse that would take money in here because she's coming off 2 wins. Is she really going to be 6-1 in here? She's coming off
Against
2
Keeper,
wins
though.
with figures.
But I agree with
figures
you.
and better than
Honestly,
here. Dave's usually
he's
right. I'm
probably
not.
right. That's what I thought. I thought maybe 5-1, but I don't think any lower.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like she's gotten absolutely perfect trips. I don't love the horses that she beat. But to be honest, in here, at least she's coming in good form.
Correct.
I didn't pick her at all. I didn't like her in here.
I have her fourth.
Where'd you go?
I went with Palace Gossip.
Okay.
She so last time she was on the inside. The favorite that day, Shoot Out the Lights, just seemed really kind of right. Now they didn't go that fast. I get it. They really didn't. But just seemed kind of rank, and she was on her outside, and she was taking all this pressure. And I just think that her last
better horses too, right?
That's what I mean. The last 2 races that she's come back in, because they have wanted to protect her, have just been against better fields. And this is not the toughest, second level A other than for the New York breds. And I thought she could be, I know she hasn't won here at Saratoga, but I thought she could step up against this field and be useful at the 5.5 because she does have that tactical speed.
I think she's one of many that make sense in this race. I mean, I honestly, I don't think there are a lot of throwouts in here. I even think How Do You Make Your Money ran well enough last time that I wouldn't completely dismiss her cutting back to 5.5.
I mean, it's Linda.
She hasn't been good, and it's Linda. But
I
you know.
just have this thing that looking at her, she looks like she wants to run longer, despite her form not suggesting that.
And probably the longest shot on the board is Tom's horse, Social World, just a little bit slower than these horses on her
Yeah,
best.
and
But she's
layoff.
not completely impossible in
No,
this race.
she'll just probably need the race.
I mean, blame it on Mary. You know, the
She ran
question
well.
with blame it on Mary is how much pressure is she going to take from Get the Candy on the outside, and
Exactly.
who is the Get the Candy we're going to see? I mean, she has been running against some better horses, and if she runs back, I know it was Gulfstream and it was 5, but if she runs anywhere in that number, she's going to win.
I know the problem is the outside post with the speed drawn to her inside.
Well, wouldn't you rather be outside of the speed or?
Yeah,
than-
sure.
So
And I do think the 5.5 is surely her distance.
I'm not in
but
love with her, but she can win.
she
I mean, I
can
just feel like
win.
both
She
these horses.
definitely
Listen,
has
I
the
mean,
back
blame it on
class.
Mary. As some of the, her win back at Aqueduct is one of the fastest races any of these horses ever
Mm-hmm.
run. So I don't have a problem with her either. I'm interested in Fontana Freda in here.
She
because-
runs well up here.
Well, you also look at her races, right?
Yeah.
7 furlong. She's not a 7 furlong horse. She was 3, 4, 5 wide. Those horses are
Better.
a lot better than these horses. And I don't think she really even ran that badly when you take the race apart. The first time out, she's in against Lady Milagro, and I'm not Anna Karenina. I don't know how she beat me the other day, but she finally
Down the
stopped
rush
hanging
finally
when.
won a race
Right.
outright.
So I mean, it's not. Those are significantly better horses, and you start going back and you look at her races cutting back in distance. I think she makes a lot of sense in this field. She's just
yeah.
finding herself in a much more logical spot. You obviously don't disagree.
Oh,
You've got her
no.
in there as well.
Yeah.
So I thought she'd be at least a square enough price. But this is a very competitive race.
It
I mean,
is.
he's
I
got
feel
to
like
get
they're
the
all equal.
Candy 2-1 because of Irad, which I'm not saying it's the wrong line, but nobody in this race should be under 3-1.
No, that's what I thought too. Like I said, I could have the top 3 I have probably could have thrown them up and had in a different order. So blame it on Mary. I just thought dynamically it was tough for her today.
Well, she's got the 7 hounding her.
Exactly.
She's
I
got to
like
deal with
her.
her,
I
put her away, and hold off the other. You know, I love her. I mean, this sort. She's actually one of the
Exactly.
few I've
And
made a
I
lot of
thought
money
she
with. So
Andy, I thought she looked better than ever coming off the layoff last time for Eddie Barker.
I think she ran well in there.
And I think she ran well. It's just she might win
if
today.
the 7 wasn't in here, she'd have a much easier
yeah.
time. So the Shoe V. You know this about me.
Oh, God.
My first. I've
Historical.
told this. Her first foal was Tom Swift. He won the Seneca, by the way, for Frank Viola.
Why you do this to me? I don't
No, I
remember
saw.
this stuff.
I've told this story. You've heard this.
Okay. All right.
Her first foal was sold the first time I ever went to the auctions in '74 with my friend
Neat.
Larry Benton, and it was his birthday. And Larry is a Vietnam veteran, and it's also very famously the night that Richard Nixon resigned,
I
and
remember
they
this.
played the Nixon resignation on the
Yeah, on
loudspeakers
the
that night.
I remember
and that
you
was
telling me
they
that.
stopped the auction to play
Yeah.
his speech.
That's crazy.
And,
that was
yeah.
your first
That's the first
Saratoga
experience
sale?
of the sales, yeah.
Wow.
And Larry had a relationship with the owners, the connections, so the horse, so it was the whole thing. So I
Right
thought,
there, you
that's
knew
actually I learned
you
about
should
Shoe V.
never buy a horse.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I live vicariously. It's a lot cheaper. So this is a great listen. I know it's a horse field. I get it. I'm sorry the Plate Heart's not racing, to be honest, but we've got 2 serious horses in here.
Yeah.
And we'll start with Clairiere because it's sort of amazing when you think about it that Clairiere is not a champion
I know.
because of Malathot.
I
Well, if she'd
know.
only won the Breeders' Cup and I could have actually had a big day that day instead of getting buried. I
That was
love
such a tough
Clairiere.
photo. I do too.
And she's what to me makes her not just your run-of-the-mill good horse, and I don't mean that in any way to be critical of good horses, that she's able to win races even when the dynamics are not in her favor. When the paces aren't that strong, she puts her kick in. I love this horse.
And that's why she's never going to win by a lot.
No, right.
You
yeah,
know
that's
what
a
I
good
mean?
point. That's a great point.
But she knows it's kind of like wet paint yesterday. I mean, I think wet paint kind of is trending in the same direction Clairiere is. It doesn't matter necessarily the pace dynamics, but they're going to show up. They're
That was
going
her best
to
race
know.
yesterday, wet paint.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And they know where the wire is, like we like to say. I have so much respect for the connections of Steve
Well, that
and
video
Barbara Benke.
when you guys were at Oakland, you were at Oakland, of Steve running down. If anyone saw our show that day, we should dig it up, actually.
Thank
of Steve.
goodness I'm fit because
Oh,
I
you
mean
were
his
running behind her.
adrenaline. I was running, and my cameraman Chano out there. I'm like, Chano, come on, let's go. He was such a dude.
We have video of Steve running down the apron to go to the winner's circle in just total jubilation after
and
Clary.
it was like this
greatest...
crazy storm coming in. It was like a tornado out there, and I had all this dust in my eyes and throat, and it was crazy. It was so much fun, though.
Yeah, that was a great moment, and I think it's also a moment that really humanizes. You know, I think sometimes people don't realize how excited people in the game can get. And Steve,
that's the one thing I love about Steve so much. It doesn't matter. You know, he and his entire family, they just love it. And
he's a total action junkie. I mean, the way he
totally,
claims horses, if he wasn't involved in training and owning, he'd be pounding away at the windows with guys like me.
And
there's no doubt.
I mean, he's like a guy after my own heart because I'm still the same way. I get pumped up for wins, and it's good to see the winningest trainer in America always get excited.
Yeah, no, that was a great racing moment. I love her. But, you know, the question with Nest is, and Nest has run big figures. She ran one in the Oaks last year, but for the most part, she hasn't proven to be as fast. But she's not that much slower. And the question with her becomes whether or not you feel she's going to take a step forward as a 4-year-old and whether or not she's ready to do it today, and how you feel about the fact that it's taken her this long to get back to the races. But tactically, she does have a real advantage on Clairiere.
Oh, absolutely. She has the early pace. But then again, you kind of look at the two long shots in here. What the heck are they supposed to do? You know what I mean? Is Ness going to be put in that position to chase them? I don't think that
Pistol Liz Ablazin is going to gun to the lead. We'll see.
I mean, why else is she in here?
To get third or fourth money and get black type.
Okay.
And
You're right, obviously. But why not use her weapon? Anyway, yes, I agree.
She's not that fast, though. She's not as fast as Ness.
Not.
Ness is
On
faster
figures,
than she
no,
is in general.
I agree with you, but I just thought with the Kendrick
Well, she
Gabor,
may go,
blah, blah, blah.
but Ness Stalker, I don't
Ness is
project this to be a particularly quick
higher
pace.
cruising speed type of horse.
I'm looking forward to them hooking up. You know, I mean, I don't think
let's put on a show.
Yeah, I don't think this is I think it's not a great understatement to say it's not a great betting race, but it is a fun race, and we're thrilled to see Ness back.
And two, isn't it? You look at these two Filly and Mare's pedigrees, and they're like amazing too.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're so good, it's just going to be a fun race.
Gording's a Grade 1 winner from 7 furlongs to a mile and 1/8, right? She won the test, I want to say. Prior at those races, then she came back. She stretched out effectively. No, she was a wonderful horse. And listen, I've been a fan of Clairiere since she came on the racetrack.
Yeah.
And I just love the fact that she's
all
still racing.
Race mare.
It's nice
I
that
just love her.
Barbara kept her in training and stuff. So race number 5, and you know, it's a disappointment to the fans when we have an 8-horse field here and a 9-horse field later, and they're good races, and we lose 3 and 4, and this is not the first time it's happened. It's extremely painful for the racing office. It's just, listen, they're vet scratches, I get it, but it's frustrating. There's no doubt about it. Whether it's right or wrong is a different discussion, but it's frustrating, no doubt about it. And Alcool's certainly a big scratch here.
Yeah.
You have Spankhurst and Norm Cassie.
Did you pick Alcool's?
I did.
I did too.
Yeah, I mean.
No,
the
Spankhurst
rider
is a
change
default.
alone was like
phenomenal.
It's
like my big circles.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not in love with Spankhurst.
How could you be?
But he just looks a little better than these, and maybe a little bit more trustworthy. I don't know. I'll be honest, Andy. And then so
no, you don't have Print Rack in your top 4. I mean, I know he bolted because he bolted last time, and he still didn't run that badly.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I didn't like him bolting either, but you got to assume that he's not going to bolt again.
I guess they put the extension blinker and the cage bit back on him because that's what he wore last time. Okay, fine. But hasn't his form deteriorated from an overall perspective?
Well, has it really? I mean, what if he doesn't bolt last time? Doesn't he run a buyer
He'll
close to the 70?
He'll beat me. I've never really liked him.
I've never loved him either. There also is an argument the rail was a good place to be last time, and I know when you bolt, you're not on the rail. I don't know a lot, but I know that. And I just thought he'd be in a good...
But if you're bolting, there's something wrong.
Yeah, no, listen. Well, that's not... I mean, listen, Broadbrush bolted. and still won the Pennsylvania Derby. So
it just doesn't sit well with me from a horse.
That's fine. No, I'm not thrilled with it either, and I picked him second. And Spankhurst is way the horse to beat. I mean, Spankhurst. The other thing is, listen, it's not your fault, but with the scratches here, what's Spankhurst going to be? 4 to 5?
I know.
So, and I'm not. It's not. There's nothing you can do about it. And I've got him second as well.
I mean, what are they doing with Cash now? I thought he looked sensational. He was my pick. I thought, this is great. Going back to the turf, he's more of a turf horse. And he runs great behind Valley Dooley, who was okay.
Except, let me just say something. And I bet him last time. I really liked him last time, too.
I picked him.
He had an absolute gift of a trip, and Bally Dewey blew the break, was back to last, circled the field. He's never closed before, and he still ran him down. I mean, there are neck losses, and there are neck losses. This one felt like I was about as non-unlucky as you could possibly be, because everything went his own way. And the problem is, where is his good form? But here's a question for you. Do we think the last winner makes us think that maybe we should be thinking, is Rob Atras waking up again?
That was going to be my next statement.
Right.
And Rob, turf to dirt, 50% drop. I know it's a small sample. It's 4 for 12.
And I'm going to touch on this because somebody came by the set and we were talking about it, and a lot of people have mentioned it on Twitter. I'm sure a lot of you are aware the last winner, the late pick 3, paid $18 for a dollar. The double paid 20-something. So the pick 3 was lower, and the first one, it was Wet Paint. I can say it till I'm blue in the face, and I've said it hundreds of times. There is a significant lack to almost the point of zero, not zero, but almost the point of zero, CAW money, computer wagering money in the win pools.
Yes.
So when you look at it and say that Exacta paid terribly because they're a player in the Exacta pools, the Exacta actually paid very close to accurately. The tries paid close to. When I say accurately, somewhere CAW players, their model enables them to have a very good understanding of what the actual odds of outcomes are, and they're looking for opportunities. And it's complicated, it involves rebates, et cetera, which people know. But so when they see the Exacta and they say it should have paid $100 based on the win and place price and only paid 50, that's because they're not in the win, place, and show pools. Those are the pools where there are value. So these people that are complaining about how low that pick 3 was, and some of them may have had it, like that gentleman. My guess is most didn't. No, do what I did. I bet the horse to win in the last race because I thought there was something funny about it. I didn't bet a lot, but I thought that's kind of interesting. I'm going to throw a few dollars in this horse and use this horse because these horses seem to run. CAW players are smart, and there's value in the win pool. And the name of the game is trying to find value.
Yeah.
And because picking horses is a very ethereal thing, but value is another ethereal thing. But at least in this case, it was there in the win pool. So instead of complaining about the bad value in the Exactas, start looking at the Exacta prices and finding out the horses in the win pool that are value. Wet Paint at 9 to 5. She was a heavy favorite in the multis. I didn't hear anybody complaining about that. Heavy favorite in the multis, but a much bigger price because they all bet IRAD on Gambling Girl.
Right.
So I get it. I understand people see it in the frustrations, the optics. I played the game a long time. But why don't you try to take advantage of it in the win pool?
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
Daily.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's rant over, addressed. We're all happy. We got 5 to go. We're going to go. Maggie and I are going to go. If we go to like 2 o'clock, we're going to still be up here. We'll be right back after a quick break.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
You miss us? We're back. Maggie, Andy. Saratoga Spring Water, by the way. We love Saratoga Spring Water. I got gallons of Saratoga Spring Water in my apartment. I got a delivery last night. All right. So race number 6. Are we going to just sort of default to
Todd?
Ooh, Maggie betting against the Todd Pletcher
crazy.
first-time starter. You are going to Love to Eat, which I admit I do. Go ahead.
I mean, so there's a lot of horses in here, several horses that have the experience, and I was just hoping that the experience edge gave an edge. Last time, now I don't know, jury's kind of out on the Matolis. I loved him as a racehorse,
love
but you kind of
Mitole.
look at the pedigree, the lineage of him, and we'll see. But I thought this horse kind of ran well in retrospect, and as I said, I've watched so many Ellis Park replays, and the domination on the front end, race after race after race, it is pretty significant.
And that was a Steve Asmussen horse, so it's not like it was some random bum. Not to suggest if they're not Asmussen horse, but it was coming from a very strong barn.
Exactly.
What about Wayne's horse though that did absolutely no running in there
took
and was the
all the
favorite?
money.
And was the favorite.
Look,
the 5 creditor.
I have him in there.
You do?
No, I have him. No, just kidding. I have him.
Searching.
I have him. I went all the way back to 6th in this race. So I just wish he.
Does your 6th pick mean that you worth telling people? My 6th pick usually means
No,
good luck to him.
Exactly. So he broke slow, right? And then he didn't drop all the way back to last because there's like 2 horses having their own race way at the back.
Yeah.
But he dropped nearly back to last.
He was bad. He was terrible.
And ran through, but then really flattened out down the lane. But where there's smoke is there fire. I just.
The essence is you want Ellis Park horse to try to close, which
Exactly.
is sort of interesting when we look at the other race. And if we can switch the replays and show Mystical Chant and Candy Lover.
I mean, I almost put Candy Lover on top too because this horse galloped. I know you're going to yell at me for saying this horse galloped out really well, but
You love a good gallop out. You and the
Did.
MiG. You guys
Did.
love gallop. Well, I mean, the point of that being that Candy Lover was theoretically hurt by the fact that speed was good. Now, I did not think this was a huge speed track on June 23rd. That I did look up, and I did not have that a big speed track.
okay.
So that's one of the reasons I wasn't enamored, frankly, with either one of these horses.
Okay.
But I'll say one thing. Cherie's horses, Cherie DeVoe, are really running. She won the stake down at Monmouth, the Molly Pitcher, with 100 buyer. That horse has really improved. That
Taking
horse,
Candy
that
yesterday?
ride, I know the horse won an amazing
Jose.
photo. Was Jose? That was one of the rides of the meet.
I
It was getting the position out of the gate. It's the aggressive ride out of the gate to get that
and
position
that's why,
that got
of
it got in
course,
the winner's
I didn't,
circle.
Going into the race, I didn't like the horse
horse
because
don't
I'm like, he looked slow. He kind of looks one pace, but Jose saw that, knew he had to get that
No,
forward
that was
position, and the horse looked phenomenal, and paid
Yeah,
off.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't love any of the firsters, and they can all run better second time out. You've taken a different approach this race. You've gone with horses with experience, and that includes Sam's Treasure, who we both have in here. I'm 3rd and 4th. I think it's sort of interesting, though, because Wesley had this horse entered as an MTO and
did.
entered in this race, and therefore ran the one. It was the horse that tripped at the wire and is fortunately absolutely okay. And that horse actually ran pretty well.
She did.
And I thought it gave me confidence that maybe he thought this horse
You
could
just
run
wanted
in
to
the
get
dirt.
me excited about our filly.
Oh,
watching
and this is
replay. Kanane.
this is the horse that took Maggie and Tom to Ascot.
She'll be back.
From
soon.
Ascot? She finished yet?
Oh my God!
Come
That was so rude.
Come on.
Wow, I thought she ran well. Javi.
Oh, she didn't run the battle. She split the field, right? No,
yeah,
seriously.
she
Yeah,
was
she
10th
actually didn't
out
run
of
the battle.
26, and
But George
then
Weaver's
Javi
horse
just
kicked
kind
her
of put
butt,
his
right?
hands
George Weaver's
down.
horse did kick her butt, right?
Oh yeah, because she's a sprinter, Crimson Advocate. I think our filly wants to run longer. I know that's counterintuitive, but she made the lead going 5. But
Yeah,
anyway,
but you can't judge horses by the 2-year-olds by their first starts.
exactly.
Just
Sam's Treasure.
can, but
I mean, aren't you worried that she started on the turf? Although Wesley's pretty good when he does this.
if camera, and there are any stories on camera, it's $1 million Eclipse, Lapenta horse. If this, it's funny because the Barkley Tag Dam that wasn't that good is a first foal. I mean,
Remember this? When I looked at the pedigree, I was like, oh my gosh, this was that weird horse that Barkley claimed. When does Barkley Tag
is
claim
this the horse
horses?
that ran second in
No,
a big stake?
Yes, in the Spinaway. And then in the Frisette.
Yes.
Yeah.
She ran second in the Frisette, and I made a school. Was that? No, that's a different horse. She ran
She was
second to a
second or
Baffert
third.
horse. She ran second to a Baffert. There's a different Barkley horse. That's a 50 horse.
but
This horse ran second
Barkley
to Sipicon Harbor.
claimed-
This horse ran
Right.
second to Sipicon Harbor. Is that right?
Barkley claimed her out of a maiden 50, which she won up here and then wheeled her
Don't
back
you
in the Spinaway.
Don't you feel like, and we do need to move it along at some point, or we're going to get really late. I just feel like if this horse is a runner, she's going to beat the horses that have run.
Yeah.
Because they just don't. And I'm going to take Al Stall because I think Al's super sharp. There's not a lot of pedigree. It's turf. It's really more turfy, but Al's a sharp guy, and I'm totally guessing with this horse. I didn't want to put the 10 on top, who will probably be a short price.
Yeah, she's got fast works, Colonial Rose.
So I thought I'd go with the firsters in this case, and I'll take a shot that Al Stall has a runner. It's more an Al Stall. He doesn't run a lot of first start touring 2-year-olds. He usually seems to have one or two that can run up here.
Yep.
Race number 7, we will move it along as we are going to run out of time. Colonel Bowman figures to be a heavy favorite in here. David Jacobson's first winner at Saratoga is going to be on me. That horse is going to beat me. I'm not saying he can't win. He's in good form, but he is now 1 for 25 or 26 over the last close to 50 days in NYRA. He's one out of town, but they're not winning at NYRA, and they're not running back to their better efforts, and that worries me.
Yeah, and he was kind of striking while the iron was hot here, as this horse wheeled back,
Yep.
with those 2 wins out of town, and then he wheels back, what,
3
in a
races
week?
in a month. 3 races in a month, Maggie.
Exactly. So they
29
usually
days.
can't keep that going.
Yeah, now, to be fair, he's been 2 months.
Yeah.
So they've given him time, and he's obviously a horse who can win this race. You have the 5 Caramel Chip on top. We will show his win 2 back, and he's one of those cool horses that we don't see enough of.
He just shows up. Looking at Rosie's, who finished 3rd behind him, came back with an 88 with the next win. Bodie's Maker was able to control this day
Mile
on
16.
the front end, and
Is
I
this
just like him
last
turning
race?
back off of that race. Oh, or is this his
No, this is
win?
the last race. You're right. It's the last race. But it was a
Is
mile
it?
and 16th. So
Oh,
this is
no.
the last race, June 25th.
Okay, yeah. So, right, exactly. He doesn't want to necessarily go that far. I just thought he was the best alternative to Colonel Bowman.
How scared of Lord Captain are we? I think we have to be scared of every Linda Lice
Absolutely.
horse that runs.
I thought it was weird that this horse performs far better when going around 2 turns.
Well, I mean, the figure's not that much worse, but it's delta at 6.5. Oh, that was 2 turns. That's a... Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with him. I have him 3rd. I have to bet Little Demon in here off the claim. He figures to be the speed with Pratt in the inside.
wanted to put him on
especially with
top.
Scratch the 3. And
I was
I thought he
scared,
ran
though.
really well last time.
did
He fought
too.
the whole way with Last Chance to Glory. He was so tough in those
I've
races.
always thought that less ground was better for him. I know he stepped up in ran that good second, going a mile and an eighth over at Aqueduct, but I think you're right. Yeah. He scares me.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that he can wire the field. We'll see what happens. It's a tough race. 5, unfortunately, only 5 left, but it is a competitive group. Race number 8. It's a funny race in a mile and 16th in the turf. And
Oh,
you know,
I'm excited about this
you
one.
have the horse completely out of there. I have her 3rd, but I'm not a big Cafe Fleur fan. We'll take a look at her win last time. And to be fair, Be Up has run
She'll
okay
probably beat
since
me.
that race, but I've just never loved this horse. She's just okay.
I agree, and she's gonna have to do it from the far outside, off of a layoff, and it's just like it feels like Chad's like, I really don't necessarily want her. Somebody claim her, She's like fine at this level, but whatever. I just
She's
not
slow.
me.
She has no
She's not for
speed.
me.
She's a plotter.
I've
and-
never liked her in the paddock.
And if I want a horse that's slow, I'd prefer Peace Seeker, who's at least been
Yeah.
running against better horses. So if I'm going to
Exactly.
take a horse that's kind of in the back of the pack, I'll take her at a better price, and I'm not sure she's not a better horse.
And let me tell you, I like Sister Annie even more with the scratch of the other speed in here, Blue Times.
Well, she's the main speed here. You really love her getting this distance against these horses?
On the inner turf, I think, yeah. I'm going
Okay.
to take a shot with her. She's going to be a huge price. She doesn't have that many turf races. I know there are fillies and mares in here that have run faster on the turf than she has, but I think she has a huge tactical advantage today.
She is the controlling speed. I'm not going to argue
Gets
that.
Kendrick. Second start here for Dave Donk off of a layoff.
I mean,
Yeah,
two
second, yeah.
horses scratched, and they were both semi-forwardly placed horses. So
Yep.
really, it's sort of
And
up
she was
to
beaten by
Jackie the
Ro- I
Joker
mean, she
and
was-
Trevor to be sitting second.
Beaten well by Roses for Deborah, but Roses for Deborah is a serious turf sprinter.
Yeah, I just worry she may not be good enough. But,
She might not
I
be.
know where you're going, and I certainly
Yeah.
gave her a good look. I like Tass, who you have second
Yep.
here. We'll show her finishing second like last time out. It's nice to see Phil Antonacci having some success so far at the meet.
Yeah, he was
and-
telling me that early on this year, there were some illnesses that went through his barn and just nothing kind of going right, and now they're clicking.
She's a very consistent filly that just runs,
She
a mare,
is.
I should say, who runs races that are fast enough to win. Last time out, it's kind of like they knew she wasn't going to win. She was 3-1 in this race, and on paper, she could have been favored quite easily, and she still ran reasonably well in here.
She was
Aziza
the
just
only
sort of
horse-
ran off on the front end as the favorite as the speed.
She was the only horse to make up ground.
Yep.
Yeah, no, and she's just consistent as they come. So I would definitely take her second off of a layoff. She is one that I feel like typically needs a start or two to get going.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm hopeful for her. I also think the 11 Peace Seeker is very dangerous. I was going to mostly fool around with them. We both
What
did
do you
the
do with
7.
R. Callie Kim?
Well, I have trouble taking horses off year-plus layoffs, especially for Brennan Walsh, but obviously she has good enough races.
And then how was Lucky Peridot favored in that Aziza Tass race? She did no running.
I was going to say Irad was probably riding her, but we can't even use that as an
No.
excuse. I'm not sure why she was favored in that. I'm
mean,
not
that-
sure. Now looking back on it, I feel like I said, why is she favored?
I know you did. I remember
Yeah.
it clearly
Yeah.
because I was like, yeah, why?
See what happens in race number 7. Maggie has a good long shot opinion. We'll see what happens. Race number 8, excuse me. We'll see how that works out. Race number 9 is a fun race, and I'm glad this one was not crushed by scratches. In fact, there are none in race 9. And you and I both like Market Alert. We'll talk about him first, and then we'll talk about some others here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I like.
Oh, we're going to replay? If we're going to, are we going to a trainer stat? No.
For
we have a
Charlie?
trainer stat for Charlie.
Yeah.
Yes.
All
If you
right.
want to do that. He has very good trainer stat
Yeah,
numbers.
first off the
switches.
trainer change.
6
in
for 18.
Dirt sprints.
Oh,
You
I
did
just looked up dirt overall.
I did dirt sprints.
Okay, what were his sprints?
Minus the Naira stat, because obviously
I
you're
always look at
smart,
that.
and
I
'cause
don't want to
Finger
get the
Lakes.
Finger Lake stats in
Yeah,
there.
but I mean, it's in line. He's 5 for 20. He's actually better at Naira.
I've always liked this horse. I think he kind of went the wrong way.
He's a quirky horse, but
His good races beat this field.
he's actually better when he's quirky. And it felt like he was just like a tired horse. And I'm hoping that,
A couple months.
right, Charlie, and I just, over my years of watching Charlie Baker, he always seems to do well with the funny bone progeny. I know there aren't that many running, but for some weird reason, he's had success with them.
No, I like this horse as well. I think he's
Yeah.
really, really interesting in there. Let's take a look at Majority Partner. I think we're going to show, I think I picked the race from 3 back just to get one where he finished a little closer. I'm worrying that I've got him second, you've got him third. I'm a little worried he's tailing off a bit.
Yeah, well, as you like to say, not that he was ever a pumpkin, but it feels like he's
Yeah,
He
his
rode the
trajectory,
wave and he's going
is
a
on
little
the
bit.
down.
He's-
And a lot
he's
of Linda's
in the
success
low.
have been with more horses he's taken over
Right.
recently. They're
Right.
fresh, and they're horses that she gave a little freshening to because she couldn't run them because she'd claimed them at Churchill or Ellis.
And the horses that have beaten him in his last 3, just are somewhat dubious,
And people are going to see he's 2 for 2 at Saratoga.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody says he's a horse for course, they're missing the point. He was
he's just better than
off the
those.
claim for Linda. He found the
Yeah.
right spot. He was just getting good.
Right.
Then he got really good and he went down. I don't think in any way you can say his good form in Saratoga was because of Saratoga. He actually ran better